It seemed like just yesterday the Warriors were dominating everybody, but the reality is they haven't made the playoffs since 2019, when they lost in the finals to the Raptors. That was a tumultuous year for them. Durant left, Klay got severely injured, Steph Curry broke his hand and missed basically the entire season after that. During that time, we've seen the rise of other Western Conference contenders, namely the Lakers and Clippers, with their new additions, plus some other upstart teams in Utah and Denver and Phoenix. All eyes are on them, but lost in all the discussions are the Warriors. It's weird to call the Warriors the underdogs, but I think they are. Due to their lack of success in recent years, they've flown under the radar. This season, however, they will be in the conversation with the top teams of the league. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and in this video, let's take a look at a few key aspects of this Warriors roster, and see what they have and what they're missing. Can they actually do it again, and return to championship prominence? The return of Klay Thompson. I can't believe it's been over 2 seasons since Thompson stepped onto the NBA court. The last time we saw him, it was in the 2019 NBA Finals, when he tore his ACL. Then, a year later, right when he was about to make his comeback, he tore his Achilles. After 2 long years of rehab and recovery, Thompson is expected to return around Christmas. Considering the Warriors have been relying on Jordan Poole and previously Kelly Oubre, there's no question Thompson is far superior than any other shooting guard that tried to fill in the void. I mean, this probably doesn't need to be said, but let's take a look at how much of a difference Klay Thompson makes in terms of numbers. When he was playing, the Warriors were routinely top 3 in the league in three-point percentage. Without him, in the 2020-21 season, they dropped to 9th. Without both him and Curry, they were 29th. Throughout his career, whenever he's on the floor, the Warriors' offensive rating increased by over 6 points per 100 possessions. The second highest mark out of any Warrior in the last 10 years, behind Steph Curry. In the 2 seasons Klay's been gone, the Warriors' offensive rating plummeted. They were 20th in the 2020-21 season, and 30th, dead last in the 2019-20 season, although that year Curry was also injured. The drop in offensive efficiency isn't just from Klay's shooting. Even just having him on the floor elevates the entire team's offense. He's such a huge threat from the perimeter that he sucks the defense out. Defenders can't just sag off him to double-team another player. This opens up the paint as well to give their bigs an easier time finishing at the rim with fewer defenders near them. It certainly would have helped James Wiseman last year. Simply by existing, Klay's gravity will make it easier for his teammates to get points in the paint, an area of the floor where they severely regressed since his injury and Durant's departure. While I don't think Klay will immediately turn them back into contenders, it's a huge step forward once he returns. Depth. Okay, so here's an issue. There's an old NBA saying that a championship team is 13 strong. You cannot win the title if you lack depth. When the Warriors were dominant, they not only had the star power, but also a roster that contributed from top to bottom. Every man had a role and a purpose in the system. Now, this 2021-22 squad is nothing like that. Looking at the roster, when Klay comes back, they'll have a fearsome starting lineup. Curry, Klay, Wiggins, Dre, Looney, or move Dre to center and go 4 small, just like the good old days. Unfortunately, beyond their starting lineup, they really have no depth at all. They brought in Otto Porter, who theoretically should fit super well into their playstyle, but his career fell off a cliff in recent years. He hasn't been relevant since his days in DC. They also brought back Andre Iguodala, but he's 40 years old now. Damian Lee has shown good progress in shooting threes while Klay's gone. Depth is their biggest weakness, and it was last year too. The Warriors were once known to have a deadly bench squad, and every championship team in recent history has had a lot of depth. You need that to win a title. They did get some high picks from the draft, but by the time Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga become relevant, their window to contend will be over. They need production right now. The resurgence of Draymond Green. Over the past few years, while Klay was out, it affected Green the most. Back then, it was common to see him run the offense, drive down an open lane, and take advantage of all the space Klay provided. Without Klay, Green had the worst years of his career and completely lost his confidence in his shot. However, early on in the season, Dre has been putting in work. He lost weight, he looks lighter on his feet, and his defensive quickness is back. A few months prior, he struggled to deal with a hip injury, and it lingered for a long time, affecting his movement. Now, he looks healthier and is quickly returning back to form. The good thing is, the Warriors have a playstyle that works. Steve Kerr has shown the ability to coach a championship team. You could tell by how good their defense has remained despite all the injuries. Last year, they still finished as a top 5 defensive team, even without Klay. Wiggins has stepped up, and Dre has continued to mentor the young guys. There was never any doubt of his leadership, and he's continued to provide value for the team even through the toughest times. This brings us to the topic of James Wiseman. If you remember, a while back I made a video talking about him on the Warriors, and basically, in his rookie season, all the stats pointed to him having a negative impact on the team. This article from a year ago summed it up nicely. The on-off numbers paint a grim picture. The Warriors have been outscored by 4.7 points per 100 possessions in Wiseman's minutes, while outscoring teams by 3 points per 100 possessions when he's off the court. Choose any impact metric that you like and you'll find a common theme. Wiseman ranks as one of the 15 worst players in the NBA. Sadly, I don't know how much better he's going to be once he returns. Near the end of his rookie year, he tore his meniscus, an injury that doesn't take that long to recover from. It's been a slow process, and while he did participate in shoot-arounds and drills, he could not play in any full-on 5-on-5 practices, as he's still recovering from the surgery. I'm sure he's been working on other aspects of his game, like shooting and stuff, but don't expect him to come back and immediately make a difference. There is some good news though. According to Steve Kerr, he noticed Wiseman had a change of demeanor compared to his rookie season, where he was timid and often had a hard time understanding their plays. As a sophomore, he came into training camp with a much higher level of confidence. Quote, "He's doing really well. I think James is really kind of coming out of his shell. You can really see the maturity. He's speaking up in meetings, feels much more confident. I can see it. And then the drill work he is doing, he is really picking things up quickly. He is the future of the Warriors, and their success will be determined by his progress in the next few years. Hopefully, he'll come around fast. They need him to." Steph Curry's continued dominance. Also mentioned in a previous video from months back, Curry is absolutely carrying the Warriors. In fact, he statistically just had the best season of his career recently, at the age of 32, no less. He put up a career high in points and was the sole reason the Warriors even had a chance to make the playoffs. For comparison, look at his 2021 season compared to his MVP 2016 season. I'd say 2021 is even more impressive because he did it on a horrendous roster with the defense constantly focused on him. This season, Curry's continuing where he left off, showing no signs of slowing down. There's already been numerous writers who predict he's going to win MVP, again. And there's a real chance of that happening, depending on the Warriors' record. Not only that, but Curry is on pace to break Ray Allen's all-time three-point record. Not just break it, but shatter it. Allen currently holds the record with 2,973, but Curry is not too far behind. Considering he hits approximately 4 threes a game, if he stays healthy, he'll easily break that record this year. An incredible accomplishment, considering Curry has played over 500 fewer games than Ray Allen. It just shows how much the NBA has changed in such a short period of time, and Curry was at the forefront of that change. If you just look at this roster, without Curry, it would be without a doubt the worst roster in the NBA. Last season, I'll quote myself from a video I made a while back. According to StatMuse.com, the Warriors have an offensive rating of 102.8 without Steph Curry on the floor. That would be dead last in the entire league. With Steph Curry on the floor, they got an offensive rating of 114.7. that would be top 10 in the league. He may not be the best player anymore, I think people have given that title to Giannis, but Curry is still unbelievable. No single player in the league changes a game as much as Curry does. Overall, the Warriors' main weakness is depth, like I mentioned earlier, but with the return of several key players including Klay, a resurgent Draymond, and Wiseman's projected development, the Warriors have a real chance to contend again. With their current roster, they won't beat the Lakers or Clippers in the playoffs, maybe struggle with the Nuggets too, and then there's the Suns and Jazz, who also outperformed expectations last year too. So the competition is fierce, and they'll need to make some moves before the deadline to shore out their bench, and maybe grab some more vets too. But you can never underestimate the heart of a champion. Anyway, that's all folks. Let me know your thoughts on the Warriors this year. Do you see them making a deep playoff run, or do you think they'll get knocked out early? How do you see Klay playing when he first gets back? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.